Welcome to Evangeline Ed Academy. Today, we are going to work out a question from one of the past papers from February-March 2022 on IGCSE Business Studies. The biggest problem of the business studies students are that they perform the exam so well according to them, but they do not get marks. That is the biggest problem all the business studies students face today. Let us crack down the different strategies in marking the paper and find out how to score 6 out of 6 marks for all the 6-mark questions given. Nancy wants to be an entrepreneur. She has analyzed market research data and decided to start up a bookshop. Nancy has identified a suitable location and prepared a business plan. Nancy is calculating her total costs. She will use this information to help her complete a break-even chart as shown in figure 2.1. Nancy is also considering using e-commerce. The question is, do you think the threats of e-commerce are greater than the opportunities for a new business? Justify your answer. This question is a question given from the scenario. But while answering this question, there are few strategies that you need to see. Since the question starts with the words, do you think? The question is always very personal. It's about what I think. So, what do I think? Or what do you think? Do you think, yes, it is a threat? Or do you think, no, it is not a threat? How do you answer the question? Should you answer it with yes or no? I will clarify it for you. In case, let's say you feel yes, it's a threat, should you abruptly write yes? Yes, of course, you can, but you should not just write yes or no. Let me tell you how. Do you think the threats of e-commerce are greater than the opportunities for a new business? That means you must choose a side that is either yes, threats are greater, or no, opportunities are greater. But you also need to show both sides before you decide. If you only write yes and list only the threats, you will lose evaluation marks. So, in short, whenever you're trying to answer about the threats of e commerce or a problem of anything, you have to talk about what good it has and what bad it has. So, it is always about discussing advantages and disadvantages. So, the question is, do you think the threats of e-commerce are greater than the opportunities? So first let's talk about e-commerce and what are the good things that the e-commerce has and how does it affect the business, and what are the bad things that e-commerce has and how does that affect the business, and finally give a conclusion. So what is the correct method to score 6 out of 6? Your answer should be divided into three categories. Number one, it is knowledge. Number two, it is analysis. And number three, it is evaluation. So you have to write one advantage and one disadvantage of the threat. So what is the advantage of e-commerce? And what is the disadvantage of e-commerce? For example, what is the threat of e-commerce and what is the opportunity of e-commerce? Let's do it step by step. First, identify the threat of e-commerce. It can be either 1 or 2 points. When you identify the threat of e-commerce, that is your knowledge mark. You get 1 mark. And number two, analyze the threat. Explain how it impacts the business. Step 3. Identify the opportunities of e-commerce. So when you identify the opportunity, you get 1 mark for knowledge. And next step, you have to analyze the opportunity. Explain how the opportunity impacts your business positively. And finally, step 5, make a decision. This is called as evaluation mark. Say yes or no clearly and justify why. And while you do that, you have to write extra threats and opportunities while giving a justification. Do not repeat the same threat and opportunities that you had earlier mentioned. Here is an example of a high scoring answer. I have answered as no, opportunities are greater. I have written the answer here. Let's see how I have written the answer. I have started by telling e-commerce has both threats and opportunities for a new business. And first, let me talk about the threats. So, what are the threats? One threat is that there is high competition online, and the other threat is that there is high cost of designing and maintaining a website. So is writing the threat alone enough? No. When you just write the threat alone, it is called knowledge. That's why I have written K in brackets. So these are marks given for your knowledge. So you have to explain how this high competition online impacts the business. So when there is high competition online, it makes it harder for a new business to attract customers and it may be forced to reduce prices, which lowers revenue. So I have to write how it impacts the business for me to get the analysis marks. Now give an analysis for designing and maintaining a website. So this can be difficult for a new business with limited finance and could reduce profits. So I have written two threats and I have explained how the threats will impact the business. So that explanation part is called your analysis. So I've spoken for threat. Now let me write for opportunities. However, there are also significant opportunities. What are the opportunities? Selling online allows access to much wider customer base. So that is my first opportunity, which is my knowledge part. And one more opportunity have been written by me. I said the business can also operate with fewer physical shops. That's very true. So how does these two knowledge part impact the business? First one, selling online gives access to a wider customer base, which increases potential sales and market share. This is my analysis. It increases the market share and it increases the sales. So this is how it impacts the business. So that is my analysis part. Next, the business can also operate with fewer physical shops. So what happens when a business has fewer physical shops? It means it lowers the rent, staff cost, which improves your profitability. I have given an analysis for each of my knowledge portion. Sometimes one knowledge and one analysis for each point would do, but I have given two advantages and two disadvantages. I mean, two opportunities and two threats, and I have given analyzation for both. Is that alone enough? No. Now it's your point of view because it is a do you think answer. You have to write what you think by giving a proper justification. And while giving a justification, you should make sure that you keep the justification balanced and not biased. In conclusion, I think the opportunities are greater than the threats. This is my decision. Because although competition is strong, I'm speaking about the threats. Although competition is strong, e-commerce enables a business to reach more customers while keeping the cost low. So I spoke about the opportunity again. So I mentioned the threat, I mentioned the opportunity, and I'm concluding that if managed effectively, the opportunities outweigh the risks. So I have mentioned that there are threats, there are opportunities. So if you do proper management, then your opportunities can outweigh the risk. So while doing that, I have to mention the threats and opportunities again. And my request is not to repeat the same opportunity and threat that you have mentioned above. Only because I have given 2 points for opportunities and 2 points for threats, I took the liberty of adding 1 point here. So sometimes it is okay just to add one advantage and one disadvantage here and one advantage and one disadvantage here. So do not repeat your knowledge points here again to conclude. You can include different points also to conclude your answer. So what are the mistakes that you have to check? Many students only describe the threats or opportunities. When you do that, you get maximum 3 marks. And some students do both, but forget to make a final decision. So when you don't make a final decision, that is your evaluation, you get maximum 4 marks. So the best answer weigh both sides and gives a clear yes or no with justification to get 6 out of 6 marks. What is the right method? So it always gives a balanced discussion. There are both threats and opportunities and end with a clear yes or no decision with reasoning. I have included almost all the notes of business studies and all short notes of business studies, which will be very, very helpful for your revision. Don't forget to go check all that. And in case you have more doubts or questions with regards to business studies, don't forget to comment.